Hi there, it's Ryan G. Wright with DoHardMoney.com. And the question is, what should I be looking for when buying multi-family properties? Well, it really depends on what you want. A lot of people buy multi-family properties because they're looking for cash flow. And lots of times if you're looking for that high cash flow, which you should always be looking for cash flow really, but the higher cash flowing properties typically require a lot more maintenance. A lot more management is probably the better way to say it, and typically maintenance as well. So here's the deal. If they're high cash flowing properties, they're typically in rougher neighborhoods and they're typically gonna need more management. Now there are exceptions to this rule, but you kind of have your C class, B class, and A class properties. A C class property is gonna be older, it's gonna need some repairs on it, it's not gonna be in the best of location. A B class property is going to be in better location, not in need of so much in repairs. An A class property is gonna be just a prime location, perfectly situated on the freeway, has great access and signage. So that's the different types of things you're looking at when we were talking about different types of properties, A, B, and C class properties. And that's typically used in the commercial world. I use that in the residential world as well. I kind of rate it A plus, B plus. And so there's not like just a set way of rating these, right? So it's something that you just gotta get a feel for and get an idea as to what these are. So when we're dealing with multifamily, the first thing is you've gotta decide, hey, what class property am I actually dealing with? And the secondly is, typically the lower class properties, you're gonna get some more cash flow because you're gonna buy them at a discount. But they're typically more management intense, meaning you're attracting tenants that move more often, you're attracting tenants that have more collection issues, you're attracting tenants, and that's okay. A lot of people start by buying C-class properties, and then they start dealing with the management issues, and then they sell it and try and upgrade to a higher class property. And that can be good for a lot of people. You just have to be prepared for the management that's gonna be required. The other thing you've gotta look at when you're looking at multi-family properties is how much work you really want to do to the property. And remember, there's a couple ways to make money. There's several ways to make money in real estate. Number one, you buy it at a good deal, right? So if you get a really good deal, then you can make money through cash flow or through selling that property. Second way is through value add, which is doing repairs to the property, adding value to the property by doing repairs to the property. That's the second way. The third way is cash flow, getting cash flow along the way. And the fourth way is letting the tenant pay down your amortization. So that's another way that you can deal with this. Another way is tax benefits. And another way is appreciation. The property actually goes up over time. When you're dealing with a multifamily property, you're really buying a property you're planning on holding for a period of time. Most holds are 5 to 10 years. Some holds are indefinitely, something you want to hold for a long, long time or pass on to the next generation. But most of the time, it's a 5 to 10 year play. Most people that are buying them at a discount, trying to do a value add strategy, increase the rents by doing some improvements, and then selling that at an increased price. Typically when those are done, they're done with a group or a syndication where they're actually getting multiple people that are going in, putting some money in. There's typically a syndicator and there's typically somebody that's signing on as a sponsor. They're the ones that are actually getting the loan and they're the ones that are actually in charge of the entire project. So that's what you're typically dealing with when you're dealing with multifamily investments. Now, you can get started right to multifamily investments, but my recommendation is you actually start with single family houses. There's so much easier to get started with. They're a lot less work. It's a lot less rehab. If you're talking about doing a $3 million renovation and buying a $20 million property, it's usually not something that a first timer wants to get involved with. However, you can get involved with syndication deals where you're actually just putting up some money and getting involved with those projects and buying in for the cash flow. So that's something to be keeping in mind when you're dealing with that. If you are looking for those types of properties, I think you need to look for stuff that has great locations and probably B grade. My personal philosophy is I don't like the A stuff and I don't like the C stuff. I like to be in the B grade. I started buying some properties in the C grades and I said, you know what, no, I want to move up to a B grade property. The problem with the A grade properties is the cash flow isn't there. You pay too much for the property and it's disproportionate in the rents. So typically what happens is the more expensive the property goes, it reverses on how much you get as a percentage of rents. And so the more expensive it is, typically you don't get as much as proportionately. So there becomes becomes a place where there's a crossover. And I find that typically in those B plus properties are the ones that you pay the least amount for and get the most, where your rent ratio, the percentage of rents to the percentage of purchase price, is the highest. And that's one of the things I would be looking at, is what do you get in a rent ratio, the rents divided by the actual purchase price. So a couple things to consider there when you're looking for multifamily properties. If we can help you out, check us out over at dohardmoney.com and make it a very profitable day.